You told me you wanted to add on to something. Add on, because I have a topic that I really want to address with you that I may battle with you on this one. Go ahead.
You got bars, man.
What did you want to add on first before we go there?
Okay, yeah, I just want to, it was like when you was talking about like basically how did I mean my changes, my transformation with the secular and the gospel.
Yeah.
It's like it happened right after I prayed on it. And like when it comes down to free will, I want to get back into that. With the free will, a lot of people was like, yo, I messed up, I should have jumped on it, but I get back into it. When I got signed, when I was with my group, Trauma Mob, my church was in Brooklyn. And that was the first time I ever met Hezekiah Walker.
Okay.
So at that show, I never forget, my pastor, she was like a mom to me. She said, you rap, I don't know what to do. You do what you do, but you better be ready for our anniversary. So it was like that. You know what I mean? So what we done, me and my man Knowledge, we sat down, we wrote a song, and we wrote something, didn't know what we was doing. I didn't know what, you know what I mean? I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, okay, I've been to church, and that was it. I was in church. I really didn't know myself really, but it's a learning process. You know what I mean? You grow every day. So with that, long story short, we had met Hezekiah Walker that day. I heard of the name, but I'm like, okay, he's another joker, local cat, but I didn't know really who he was until a couple years later when I started doing research on him. That right after that show, I'll never forget, he told me, he said, yo, he said, that was hot. I never heard nobody do hip hop through the gospel. The name of the song was called, what was it? All You Need Is Jesus. We had the guy in there that played, he was a blind man at the job at my church, and you just hum it out and he played it, he ripped it. So we had the drummer, we used to rehearse, whatever, but long story short, to get back, after the show, he pulled me to the side personally, he was like, yo, he said, no disrespect, he saw something in me. And I broke it down, I said, look, I just got signed, this and that, yada yada. I can get you here, there, you know, they give you the whole fantasy. They're like, yeah, okay, heard it, been there, done that. I had just got signed and I told him. So he said, yo, he said, if you ever in the need of checking out a label and you want to do something, he said, I can sign you and I know you're gonna be all right. So he gave me his home number. He gave me his Sky pager, remember those, the Sky pages, and his beeper.
Okay.
So me, I was like, that was a good feeling. Okay, somebody came to me like that. I was like, okay, that's good money. But after that, when he finished, he said, I'm not trying to discourage you. He said, but before it's all said and done, you're gonna be doing this music for the Lord. The next year, our group broke up. And I was just discouraged from rocking with this group, that group, doing this and that. And I just fell back. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start doing what I gotta do. So I started, you know, just doing the church thing. Then in 98, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do this gospel thing. I said, I'm gonna try it. I ain't say I was gonna do it. I said, I'm gonna try it. I don't know, whatever God got in store, because that just, out of the blue, it just started emphasizing, like just beating me in the head. Yo, I just kept hearing it. Before long, you're gonna be doing this for God. Before long, and it was like I was having nightmares with it. So I said, okay, Lord, if this is what you're trying to show me, you know my faith, I'm gonna ride with you. So I started writing, couldn't finish the song. It took me 1.5 years to do my first song.
Okay.
I prayed on it, couldn't understand, asked questions, couldn't understand. Everybody was giving little pieces. Read this scripture, read that scripture, this. Before long, it came to me. My grandmother told me, God bless her dead, she was like, look, she was just reading. Then for this whole week, Creflo Dollar, I used to watch him in the morning, you know, just get a word. He talked about David and Goliath. Then, what's this chick, the other lady? I forgot her name. She has a big show out there, a big gospel show, but I forgot her name. I remember that saying. She spoke on David and Goliath. It seemed like that whole week, everything came up David and Goliath. Something was David and Goliath. So I'm like, Lord, what are you trying to show me?
Confirmation.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay. Next, I asked my grandmoms. She was like, baby, I don't know. You know, then she's, from a little kid, she always read her stories and we used to have to repeat the story, tell her what we done with it. We should do that every night before we went to bed whenever we stayed up with my grandmother. For out of the blue, she just opened up and just started reading on David and Goliath. I'm like, yo. Then she broke down the part that she got to, and this one I knew it was confirmation. She just jumped straight in. The faith that David had in God showed him. God gave him the strength, or should I say the knowledge, to conquer anything that comes in his path.
Right.
That's pretty much how my grandmother said it. I know the story, you know what I mean? But that's basically how my grandmother said it. So she said, when you live your life, baby, put God first, and it's nothing that could come against you. And that's the first time I heard that scripture that she said, what's for you, no man can take from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And she always, and now I understood, when she said that, I understood why she always said, the greater in he is in me. He said, so you put your faith in God, baby, pray on it and see what God is going to show you. And that's what she said after, right after she read that part of David and Goliath. So I sat home and I prayed that night. I was like, Lord, what is it that you're showing me? My faith ain't strong enough for you? If that's what it is, give me a sign and I'll go deeper. Just give me some type of a sign. To this day, I could write a song a day. When I'm in my zone like that, with writer's block, it don't take me no more than 2 or 3 days to write a song. Right then and there, and I said, yo, it took me almost 1.5 years to write one song, and I'm gonna show you how God worked. Finally, after I prayed that night, I woke up like 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, to start writing. I finished the song by 12. The name of the song was, Who Am I? That what makes me the man that I am. You know what I mean? And I was like, Lord, that's all it took? You know what I mean? I'm sitting there, it's like, I'm sitting there fighting and beating myself up because I didn't humble myself and what I consider I have faith, I take it as that wasn't good enough for God. He said, listen, when you question him, and you know what I mean, you question God, when you said, ask and it shall be given. Have not because thou ask not. And I asked and asked and asked and asked, but the key of it was, what was I doing to receive that? You know what I mean? I was asking people instead of doing the study and the work for myself. So with that, that's when I started. So with that, I thank God. My first gospel show I ever done. With that one song I done that. Now mind you, this was the end of this was like July, August of 2000. I had an album written by by New Year's Eve. People was asking me, they were like, wow, that's hot gospel, yada yada, do a show. And I prayed on it. I learned from that situation, pray on it before I do anything. And I said, God, I don't care if it's one person at the show. If I can just touch one person at that show, I know it's of you. Don't you know, New Year's Eve of 2001, that was the first time I ever done the show. And that day, the people that came with me was I had more people that came with me to the show than it was at the church. But out of all of that, I'm like, oh man, started getting the devil started beating me in the head. You get this girl, this ain't gonna be nothing. But the thing, at the end of the show, out of the whole thing, 2 young kids dropped their flag that day. 2 young kids dropped their flag, and the cat asked me, yo, thank you. You know what I mean? Thank you for that. They got hooked in or whatever. I don't even know if they really was banging, I don't know. But just to say, you know what I mean? To hear a youth, the kids was like, I guess they was about 13, 14, asked me to pray for them. It may not mean nothing to everybody else, but where I was praying to God, make it worth it, make the show worth it. I wasn't talking materialism or nothing. Just make me see something from out of that. And from that right there, I knew I had something.
When you
But all with that, or the long story short, just because of being obedient to the words that God gave Hezekiah Walker to give to me. And that's why I went on with it.
Thank you for watching our presentation. We ask that you subscribe to our YouTube family and hit the notification bell for updates. Please like, comment, and share this video.
Real hip hop. Real hip hop. We here. Real hip hop. For real. Real